Well, hello, beautiful spirits. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support of the channel. We are now at 91,000, I believe, or either we're within a hair's breadth. Just 9,000. Come on, 9,000 from making my goal of 100,000 subscribers. I got to tell you, it's been a heck of a journey. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm very proud of the community that we are creating here at the Oracle of Whimsy. I respect the integrity of the people that come here every day and give me feedback about ways that I can improve the quality of the videos and the readings. And so I thank you for being here. I know there are many other channels that you could choose to subscribe to, memberships that you could choose to join, and the fact that you have joined this channel does not go unnoticed or unappreciated. So thank you. Today I want to talk a little bit, both as a remote viewer, but also as a medical intuitive and as a physician. I've had the honor and the privilege of receiving an excellent education in this lifetime. For those people who don't know, I started off as a medical intuitive because when I was younger, I got interested in psychic phenomenon, and I used to be able to feel other people's pain, physical pain, and I thought that was really cool. I think we all can do it. I was just a little bit more aware than other people of this ability. And so then I took it upon myself that I probably should get some type of an education if I was going to go around diagnosing people. So I went back to school, got my undergraduate in anthropology, became a medical anthropologist. And then I went on to medical school and received my doctorate in naturopathic medicine here in Portland at NUNM, Naturopathic University of Natural Medicine. And I've been practicing as a physician for, I believe, 21 years. Is that right? Wow, God, I can't believe how fast the time goes. The first thing I felt when I put myself in the shoes of Donald Trump, before all this stuff came out about his health, we knew that he didn't have a great diet. We knew that he'd been living on junk food. There had been rumors about drug abuse from his days in the clubs to people who had worked on The Apprentice who claimed that they had seen him using drugs, snorting Adderall, cocaine, amphetamines being his drugs of choice, maybe benzos at night to go to sleep. This yo-yo drug use of taking downs to get off to sleep and ups to start you on your day, as Paul Simon writes in his song Paraphernalia. It was his first album after separating from Garfunkel. But anyway, he was talking, Paul Simon, in his song Paraphernalia, he was talking about this phenomenon that people will take downers to get to sleep. With the benzodiazepines, they're the muscle relaxants. They'll dry your mouth, and they are similar to alcohol. And so you'll get drunk and start slurring your words. They have a half time of about 4 to 6 hours. So if a person could not sleep, had insomnia at 3, 4 in the morning, took benzos, and then had to be up early for a press conference, they might be slurring their words. And then if you're not familiar with the person's drug history, you might think they're having a stroke or something. No, they're just high. They're just stoned on benzos. So how a person deals with that is that they will take amphetamines. Dexedrine is a pill you can pop. It's an amphetamine. Adderall and various different ADHD medications also are amphetamines. And people with ADHD, am I saying that right? There's a correlation between that and post-traumatic stress disorder in childhood. We know that children in the foster care system often will show symptoms of attention deficit disorder. And now we think attention deficit disorder in children may be a misdiagnosis, and that we simply don't want to acknowledge that children have chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. But for many people who grow up and become adults and who have been misdiagnosed or diagnosed with attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, it's really just another kind of cover-up, isn't it? Because we don't want to acknowledge so many children have post-traumatic stress disorder and chronic post-traumatic stress disorder due to abuse and trauma. And if anybody would have that background, it would be somebody like Donald Trump, if you were to do a profile, as Mary Trump has done in her book, seeing his mother hemorrhaging from endometriosis with blood all over the place, right? And his father yelling at his mother while she's taken off to a hospital for a year. And then he gets the ultimate pain, which is to be separated from his mother during those vital years, and instead at the mercy of this heartless, psychopathic father. And alcoholism certainly was a problem in the family. Eventually, his father was taken out by dementia, Alzheimer's, which is something that in Shrinking Trump, they've talked about psychiatric characteristics. If you look at the DSM-5, for symptoms of Alzheimer's, forgetting of names, problems with forming words, identifying people, etc. But also there is some neurological evidence that Trump is beginning to have loss of proprioception or loss of balance, knowing where he is, wandering, the forgetting of words. But I think part of this could also be drug-induced, just because of his history and because he is showing some of the symptoms of somebody who's yo-yoing between things like benzodiazepines, downers and uppers. So what happens in traumatized people who grow up with chronic abuse, chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, is that they wind up with learning disabilities and symptoms that are labeled they're troublemakers or acting out, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorders, which is really just another way of saying a child with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. When you combine that with a junk food diet, a diet that's trash, that's certainly not feeding the brain. It's not helping the person to have healthy brain function. So all of those things have to be taken into consideration just from a medical perspective. As I had said, as a remote viewer and as a medical intuitive, I use a technique which is called heart-centered remote viewing, and I attempt to be the other person. This is based on Buddhist meditations on compassion, which we see in the Bond technique, Vajrayana, where we meditate with the person, we send love, and we really try to listen, take them in, and put ourselves in their shoes. As I sit in Donald Trump's energy, I often will feel a pain in the inner thigh area. I feel a pain and a pinching in the inner thigh area as if I had an incision and possibly stitches in the right thigh that became inflamed or irritated and hurt when I was rubbing my leg against my pants sleeve. Also uncomfortable when I sit. This is a pain you can sometimes get if you have had stents placed where they will go through the femoral artery of the right leg. Now, cardiologists are beginning to weigh in. If you want to find out more about that, I've posted it in my community pages where they're talking about the fact that Trump is in fact showing symptoms of congestive heart failure. And that's actually what I saw as well, that the edema was due to possibly a past myocardial infarction, a heart attack which had damaged the heart walls. Now, just aging in and of itself can have an impact on heart health, where we'll see arrhythmias, where the natural electrical impulses of the heart will be disrupted, and it will make it difficult to have a healthy ejection fraction. It'll make it difficult to have a full contraction. And so a patient might be put on beta blockers to slow down the heart so that it can fill up properly and have a proper ejection. But the other thing we see with a weakened heart wall and congestive heart failure is inefficient ejection, and that can lead to pooling of serous fluid in the legs. This is the fluid that seeps through the veins from the blood into the interstitial fluid. The other thing when you're obese and when you're eating a junk food diet that's high in simple carbohydrates and uric acid is, in addition to the weight gain and the congestive heart disease, it puts you at risk of kidney disease. And kidney disease is also related to edema. So we see both of those symptoms that cardiologists are talking about now with Trump, or what they call cankles, starting to show cankles. People have suspected that he could have a port in his right hand, possibly receiving some type of intravenous medication. Blood thinners is one possibility, particularly if they're monitoring closely and he has really good health care. He certainly could afford that. In addition to having risk for congestive heart failure and showing the symptoms of congestive heart failure and kidney failure because of his medical profile, he's also at higher risk of Alzheimer's because of his medical profile. And that's because people who are on a low omega-3 diet, and it's high in saturated fats and high in sugar, are at greater risk of Alzheimer's, which he has a familial history with. So we're looking at congestive heart failure, kidney disease, drug addiction, mental health problems, and Alzheimer's. But in addition to that, there are certain types of cancers a person will be at greater risk. Simply aging puts you at risk for certain types of cancer. Aging puts you at risk for cancer. A poor diet puts you at risk for cancer. Flying puts you at risk for certain types of cancer because you're at higher radiation exposure. So his lifestyle, in addition to everything else, his lifestyle puts him at risk for cancer as well. When you ask me as a psychic, just putting all of that aside, taking the doctor's hat off, and just looking at it as a medical intuitive and as a psychic, I think we're going to see a steady decline in the next 2.5 months. And I had said last month that he had about 5 months left before he's going to be asked to resign. Now, if he's asked to resign, if he's given the honor of resigning, and that's what I believe is going to happen, it means that his cabinet has to take the medical reports seriously, and they have to have a plan B. Energetically, it feels like you've got this line of energy, which is people close to Trump, and then you have this other energy, which is coming from Vance's people, J.D. Vance, so that a rift is beginning to form between J.D. Vance and this group of people that is close to Trump, which are advising him. And the people that are advising him are becoming increasingly insane in order to match Trump's increasing insanity. Laura Loomer being an example, where your only job is to love Trump, serve him, and give him whatever he wants. That kind of insane devotional worship of Trump, that group of people is going to find in the next 2.5 months, I predict, it's going to become increasingly insane as they desperately attempt to explain away Trump's declining health. Now, cardiologists who have seen this sort of thing have given Trump less than a year of survival. I think he could last longer. You see people like Mitch McConnell, who probably has congestive heart failure and is probably on Plavix, just based on the bruising on his hands. Still serving, even though it looked like he was having TIAs. transient ischemic attacks in his brain, strokes. He was still serving, but he wasn't the president. So I'm not saying Trump's going to die. I don't make predictions like that, nor should you if you're a psychic. We don't do that, or a doctor. We don't do that. But what I can say is that it feels to me that this decline is happening very quickly, and now Trump is openly talking about the fact that he feels that he is dying and wonders if he'll get to heaven. I am going to play a little bit with these cards for those people who don't know how I use them. I do. I am someone who studies the cards, and I use them similar to Carl Jung, how Carl Jung used them to trigger the unconscious and the subconscious, which is connected to the collective conscience. It's not that the cards have power. It's not that they're witchery. It's not that they're the devil. No more than a Rorschach card would be spooky. They're simply images that help us trigger ideas and thoughts to connect us with our own intuition. And intuition isn't something you should be afraid of. Your intuition keeps you alive. It keeps you safe. It helps you be independent of dogma and control from outside forces. It's important for you to connect with your intuition so that you can have independent thoughts and not be taken advantage of, right? So, no, it's not something of the devil. It's just a tool to help you with your intuition. Sometimes I get people praying for me, which I appreciate. But that's not quite how it works. All right, without further ado, let's do the empath's prayer. Another question I get is, who gives you the permission to go in and access the higher thoughts of these people? Well, they do themselves, because we seal every prayer. We seal every reading using the empath's prayer, and I would encourage you to do so as well. All right, one of my patients is very exciting tonight. Without further ado, let's go ahead and do the empath's prayer. Let me just stop. Okay, just had to let that person know. Let's go ahead. We'll do the empath's prayer. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say Amen. Let's go in. I'll try and give you times and dates, and I'll try and be as specific as possible. All right, so the situation now, America, the Fool, and the Queen of Pentacles. I know people are very worried about the economic situation in the United States right now. There is a feeling that everybody is following along with Donald Trump, and we don't really know where it's going to take us economically. The Fool takes a leap of faith, but I feel like economically, despite all the crazy that's going on, we will come out of this. It's interesting that the Queen of Pentacles is coming in, because the Queen of Pentacles is the business energy. It's often a business. It's the hidden money. It's also the FBI, by the way. But we have the Fool taking a leap of faith in the areas of business or hidden information. I don't think America is going to collapse financially. I just don't. I think we're going to have some rough patches because we're moving towards the new economy, the new green economy. People have asked me to be specific. What are we going to go grow more marijuana? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying renewable resources, that the economy moves towards less pollution and less waste. Imagine buying clothing that doesn't wind up in the landfills, for example. Um, when we invest in things that are good for the planet, it makes the planet healthier and it makes us wealthier. And so it's just that the more we know, the better decisions we make. And because we're coming up with uh, more effective ways to create fuel sources, et cetera, that are less destructive to the planet, more wisdom comes, new ways of doing business. And so we're evolving out of fossil fuels. We're evolving out of chemicals that damage the ecosystem. If we can come up with ways to do things that are more effective to the environment, we will, and that's what happens. That is a transition that feels like three phases to me. When I see it energetically, it looks like it's three phases, and one by one by one, we just no longer need, we don't need just to wipe out the birds and the bees. Was something that happened after World War II with this heavy spraying that came in. But now, with the new ways of growing crops, it stops because we now have the data. So what happens is there becomes these new exciting ways of growing, vertical farming, etc., so that we don't have to farm like that anymore. We're also moving away from eating meat. It doesn't serve us, and eventually most people will probably no longer be consuming meat. Just it's expensive, and it's not effective way to get our nutrition. If you really want to eat meat, it'll probably be lab grown, and that's going to be using a lot less resources. I'm excited to try those lab grown chicken McNuggets what are they calling them? Chicken McNubbies? Is that what? Is that what the writer, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, Atwood's called them Chicken McNubbies. I'll try them, what the heck. But yeah, so we're taking new leaps financially, and I think we're going to be okay as a nation, because despite all of our imperfections as a nation, we have to also understand that we are a nation of inventors and creators. And we've always praised our inventors and our creators. And we will do amazing things, America, as we should have from the very beginning, which is to praise our creators and our inventors that are moving us towards the new green economy. Where we are at right now, a new building. The other thing that's coming up is new ways of building and constructive, which are cost effective. So we're seeing a lot more homes. We're no longer seeing the expensive homes that we once did that cost so much money. So there's new construction coming in the United States within 1 year, very positive, very exciting. So we're seeing brand new housing and a lot less homelessness in the coming years, boxables. I know Elon Musk put a lot of money into boxables. Now Tesla is going to have their brand of boxables. It's awesome. You can have a brand new house in like 10 minutes. Out it pops. And then you can extend, like you buy one room and then you can buy another room that attaches, and they're nice. I'm like, I won't get one of them boxables. So, and eco-friendly, of course. So you've got that nice Ace of Swords movie. It's not a box. It looks like a large studio apartment. What are they, 500 square feet? I might, if I got a boxable, I would do the attachment. So I would attach two, because I have to have my laboratory, because I've got like 450 herbs that I'm researching and I'm doing stuff, and so I have to have a laboratory for growing my plants, etc. But yeah, I'm totally open to it. Yeah. So we have this great energy coming in with that Four of Wands. That's like to build new things, new contracts, new deals, new ways of building things within 1 year. I'm very excited about the future of housing in the United States. Good things come to us. I see a new leader coming to the United States, the King of Cups. The other thing is that yes, everything in America is coming to an end. You know, Trump is tearing so much stuff down, but now we can rebuild. It's like, what do you tell somebody when they've lost everything and hit rock bottom and they're an alcoholic? I lost my friends, my family, my closet is empty. Yes, but you're clean and sober, and now you can fill your closet with something positive. And that's what I see for the future of America. A lot of stuff got torn down. A lot of people got exposed. People on the left, people on the right. You know, it wasn't just Republicans that got onto the Lolita Express with Epstein. It was people hungry for power from both political sides. Expose it all. Expose it all, because everything is coming out in the wash. We all have iPhones or some kind of camera on us, and we are all holding each other accountable. And yeah, it feels a little bit like Big Brother, except that we are all now Big Brother. We all saw what happened to George Floyd. And God bless the woman that sat there and kept herself together and and sat with him while he took his last breath. 7.5 minutes to die, right? And she stayed and filmed it. So we are in that time where everything is exposed. The ugliness of people in power can no longer be hidden. And that's also good for us. So it really isn't the same as Big Brother, where it's just one person in power. No, we all are held accountable. And we will all be held accountable because everyone is watching everyone else. We're entering into a really creative time also. We see this beautiful Empress energy giving birth. And I love this also because it's a card that's associated with Gaia and the creation or rebirth of the earth. So she heals because we heal. As we heal ourselves, Gaia heals. We are Gaia. We are the earth. We are a reflection of her. We are growing on this earth. We are one of her creations. And as we love ourselves and eat more nutrient-dense foods, you know, I was playing with the supercomputers saying, based on data, which diet is the healthiest diet for the human body? And based on all the science, you know, not these carnivore fads, which has no science, by the way. It's just made up crap. But and the computer said the nutritarian. So I was so happy for Joel Furman. I don't know if he knew that, but that his diet ranked as the highest because he focused on nutritional density. And the blue zones, when we have the blue zone studies out of Okinawa or Loma Linda, where they're vegetarians, in Loma Linda, parts of Greece, where they're mostly vegetarian. The horta, the greens, they live on the horta. We're seeing this wonderful exploration of the longest living people in the world. Mostly vegetables with a little fish seems to be, which is also what Edgar Cayce said, 80-20. If you can get 80% greens, beans, onions, berries, nuts, and seeds, have that be 80% of your diet, and about 20% animal products. This is if you can't go vegan. So that would be fish and low-fat dairy. And he said lamb because it was probably because it was grass-fed. It lived on the grass. But yeah, I like this idea of the Empress coming in and also healing and mediation with the King of Cups, and the Ace of Swords over housing is quite auspicious. We're coming out of war. Knight of Wands is like a charge. It's aggressive energy. It's fire. It's that strong Aries energy of fighting and charge and Mars. And we're entering into the time of, I think Pence is going to be not Pence. I think J.D. Vance will be the president. But the difference between J.D. Vance is that he will not be Trump, in that J.D. Vance is more of a lame duck president. He doesn't have a lot of power. And I think that's because I have very little doubt that Congress will flip as a result of what's happened with Trump. He only has 39% support, and it's actually dipping below that. So he doesn't have a lot of a base anymore. And so by the time Vance comes in, this is Vance's card, and then you have this person coming in on the horizon. I see a new leader from the Democratic Party taking it in 2028. I can't imagine the Republicans can recover from this. It's going to take years. But Vance is, I don't think we should be afraid of Vance, because Vance is more like, well, what do you want me to do? His job is to try and clean up the mess, to clean up the conservatives, and also to bow to some extent to the will of the people, because he knows he's going to be a lame duck president. There isn't a lot of patience for him come those midterms. So it's just not the same. He doesn't have the same power. He doesn't have the same appeal. He was not the head of The Apprentice. So I just wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Where we're at right now is the Seven of Cups. Too many possibilities. What's going to happen? Are we going to go to war? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? So the Seven of Cups is we're in the clouds right now. We honestly don't know what's happening. And then the concern is the presidency. It's interesting because the emperor is the leader or the president, and he remains our concern. In a Celtic cross, your eighth house is the energy of the other, often the person you have opposition or an issue with. And the emperor is the leader, the president, the boss, the person who's in charge. It's the daddy. What's interesting is that Trump is often referred to by Trump supporters as daddy. Daddy's going to come and take care of us, which is a little creepy. But it's interesting that the emperor came as our in the eighth house, which is our obstacle. It's who we're having the issue with. The hope and fear at this time is we desire mastery and we want to get back to work. You know, Eight of Pentacles is about masters. It's perfection. It is perfecting the good. It's that part of us that has a desire for, you know, I've got a lot of Virgo in my chart. I just, if you look at the Vedic chart, I'm learning Vedic astrology, which I'm madly in love with. And in the Vedic, I'm not a Leo rising, I'm a Virgo rising. And oh my God, that works so much more for me than Leo. I'm just going from Virgo to Leo. So it's slightly behind in the Vedic. And that makes sense because I'm such a freaking nut. I've got to be perfect. It drives my teachers crazy that I've got to get that 100%. That's my Virgo side. But it's interesting to see this perfection and this desire for perfection. And it is, I'm thinking that whoever wrote the Constitution, the people that wrote it, there was a heavy Virgo influence because it's a more perfect union. We got to make it more perfect. That's really the perfect union, the perfect precision. The thing about this card is you can see he tosses one of the coins to the side. It's not perfect enough, and he's just chiseling away, trying to make it as perfect as possible. And that's what I love about the Eight of Pentacles. And the final outcome for us is we must be patient. Learn patience from this experience and care for yourself. Remember, you too are a child of God. If you're a vegan and you say, well, I hear this a lot from vegans, so I have a message for my vegan friends. If you say, well, I'm a vegan, not for health reasons, but for the animals, I would say to you that humans are animals. And if you wouldn't feed it to your dog, don't feed it to yourself. It's not rational that you would love animals but abuse yourself. Love animals but abuse humans. You are not a vegan if you're abusing yourself or other people by putting toxic foods in your body. If you're a vegan because you love animals, be a vegan because you love animals. And that means loving humans, which are animals, and putting nutritionally dense food in your body. So you're contradicting yourself. You can't be a vegan and eat junk. You can't be a vegan and abuse yourself. You can't be a vegan and trash yourself. It's in conflict with the philosophy of veganism. If you truly are a vegan because you care about animals, then you're going to do everything in your power to take care of yourself as part of that. So temperance teaches us self-awareness, that we need to eat, we need to sleep, and we need to live to care for ourselves. We need to move. So what I say to people is, if you want to make the world a better place, just live. And just live means to start with as much as possible caring for yourself, because it will have a reverberating effect on the rest of the world. First off, your brain will be functioning properly because it will be properly fed. If you look, I'm sorry to say this, and I don't mean any disrespect, but what I've noticed with MAGA supporters is that they don't take very good care of themselves. That just like the 45th, 47th president of the United States, they're eating garbage, and garbage makes garbage thoughts. When you pollute your body, you pollute your brain, and you can't think rationally. We've all been there. I've eaten junk before. We've all done it. But what you will find is when your brain is receiving optimal nutrition, you will not have the same emotional liability, and you will be happier and saner, and it will have a far greater impact on the world than you realize. And then you can go and preach it. And the good news is it's not expensive. That being plant-based is that, if you're teaching someone how to prepare lentils and rice, and whatever vegetables are in season, you can get that down considerably, and you're not buying any junk or processed foods. You'd be surprised at how much money you can save. So it's better on the planet, it's better for you. Just start with 80-20. You don't have to be 100% vegan, just start 80-20. But temperance is that this is a time of sobriety for all of us. Put the booze down, put the junk down, put the crap that's going to be harming your body. If you're harming yourself, you're harming the world. Temperance teaches us balance. The clarification over the confusion is run from the toxic, run from that which does not serve you. The Six of Cups is over our issues with our, we learn from our shadow. That's the soulmates card. So the shadows we face, we're learning. We're learning from this experience. We are learning the ugly, awful parts of the United States, the racism. We want to pretend it wasn't there. It's always been there. This is a very racist country, and we must acknowledge that. And we must apologize, and we must repent from it, and we must grow and humble ourselves, and we must examine it in ourselves, and we must do the work to change. The hope and fear at this time is our relationship with our allies. Three of Wands is the ship coming in. It's our communication often overseas. It's that waiting for the ship to come in. And the final outcome for us is Chariot. We will be able to move on from this. When do I think that the president will, if he's not out by 4 months, then it will be apparent that he should be, because his health is quite poor, and I think that it will be necessary for his cabinet at some point, probably in the next 2.5 months, we'll see evidence of it, that his cabinet will have to intervene, and I believe he will be asked to resign. If he refuses to resign, then they could take it to the Senate, or they could push Article 25. That's what I think is going to happen. All right. Thank you so much for being here. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can find all the information below this video. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Please take care of yourselves. Your life matters. Bye-bye.